last week, I want to talk about space, the final frontier. Last week, Inspiration 4 flew to orbit. They did 3 days in orbit, 15 orbits a day. That's a lot of space time for people that don't normally get to do that kind of thing. I mean, you got a young woman who's works for St. Jude. You have a nerd whom I love. You have Isaac, the man with the money, but with a heart of gold. And you have Sia. She is an amazing woman as the pilot. So there we have 4 people that really have nothing to do with space except the desire. And where did that desire come from? Who the hell knows? I don't. I know when it first manifested itself in me when I was second grade, aboutish, third grade-ish, living in McAllister, Oklahoma, on the Naval Ammunition Depot, McAllister, Oklahoma. There were 3 long row houses with 10 apartments in each one of them. And in the 10 apartments, there were myself. We were at, they backed up to the base, and we were on the back end, on the very end of the third row of houses. On the other end of that same row was Lonnie Mittag and Charlotte Mittag, and in the middle was Linda McKay. And on the first row of houses lived Lieutenant Colonel Reed. He had a son named Rodney. Rodney E.R. Reed Jr. Amazing young man. Lieutenant Colonel Reed was he was a prisoner of the Korean War. He had his life done on This Is Your Life. Rodney wound up working for the post office in Washington, D.C. But Rodney was deaf. We had our own communication. This is a true story. When I visited Rodney, I was in the Marine Corps myself. So when I was about 20 years old, maybe 19, I was stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, and I went to Washington, D.C. to see Rodney, my best friend. And when I went to Washington, D.C., Rodney was going to Gallaudet, a school for people of hard of hearing. And he took me to a picnic with all of his school friends. That was a lot of fun. And at this picnic, Rodney, well, everybody started putting ice down each other's pants and in each other's shirt. And I mean, we were kids. We're running around. We're doing this. And, and then it got to be, we're all standing like, so there's maybe 30 of us. And we're all standing like about 10 feet from each other. And Rodney starts signing to his friends, the people he goes to school with. And I don't know what he's saying. We had our own language, but he's not telling me what he's talking about. But then they all, in unison, all their heads went whoop right at me, looking right at me. And then they all started running, boom, 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 right at me. They got the bucket, they got the cooler, and they dumped the entire cooler of ice water on me. It was pretty funny. They got one over on me because they could talk to each other and I couldn't hear them. And I didn't know what they were saying. So that went on. I mean, that didn't go on for any more than that. That was just a fun thing. And then these 3 girls, all of them were cute. They took off over one of the bridle paths, over the hills, running and going, ha 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 ha, giggling and, girl stuff. Young girl stuff. And we being young men stuff, we says, let's go get 'em. So, and Rodney says, "Hey!" So we take off, boom, boom, booking up over that bridle path. And then as we get over the side, we can't see them anymore. They've taken off in front of us. So we get to the top of the second little hill as we're going over. And all of a sudden I can hear the girls giggling off in the bushes. They're over there behind the big tree. I know this. I grab Rodney and the other guy, and he says, no, come on. They're over here. And I says, no, man. They're over there. I can hear them. His eyes go whoop, big and wide, and then we take off and we catch the girls. That was funny. I could use my talents to help him. He could use his talents to prank me. That was funny. But Rodney and space. So that was when we were older. When we were younger, like I said, the third grade or so, and behind that row house, there was two seesaws that you could balance on. You could so if you get the seesaw, I'm going to hold this sideways so it looks more like a seesaw. If you get the seesaw right at the fulcrum, and you're laying on it, you can move your arms forward, and the seesaw will dip. You move your arms back, and the seesaw will dip back. Well, Rodney and I had picked up, I don't know, maybe 50 little pieces of wire. They were from this big to maybe that big, and they were single core copper wire. They weren't good for anything. They were scrap, like leftover where someone was hooking a big telephone box and for all the apartments, and this was just the detritus left on the ground. So we got all those little pieces of wire, and we were playing on those seesaws. And the seesaws are, they're only, by that time, they're 100 years old. I really don't know how old they were. I just know that they were old. They were wood. You'd get splitters if you were not careful. And you could, and they had wormholes in them, all kinds of little wormholes. Well, he says, okay, let's get those little wires and we'll build a spaceship. We put those little wires in a wormhole, and we'd connect another little wormhole, and we'd get another wire and put it in a wormhole and connect another wormhole, and then we'd run it up one of the cracks in the wood and connect it to a wormhole. We were building our spaceships from scratch, and kind of like Elon Musk, but Kid Musk. And so what happened then was we flew. Absolutely. We flew. We flew maybe all afternoon. We would dip. We would dip and soar. Oh no, that's the other way around. I move my hands forward and we'd go down. So we would dip and soar. Look, it was great. Kids have imaginations. Encourage your children. And as an adult, never lose your imagination. Look at Elon Musk. I really mean, look at Elon Musk. That man has got such an imagination. And luckily, he made enough money to do something with it. A positive thing. I support Elon Musk and SpaceX, Tesla, the Boring Company, his new chip, everything. But, so those are two little stories. One I wasn't going to tell you about, the spaceship, and the other one I thought I might tell you about was Rodney and the picnic. Love y'all. Don't forget to subscribe down there somewhere. I don't know how to do it. Bye.